So how can sound escape when even light itself cannot escape? What you're actually listening to is vibration.
Voyager 1, the farthest human-made object from Earth, continues to astound scientists even after more than 4 decades of drifting through the cosmos. It has long left the protective bubble of our solar system, known as the heliosphere, and ventured into interstellar space, a region where the influence of our sun dwindles and the domain of the galaxy begins. But despite being nearly 15 billion miles away, Voyager 1 recently sent back a signal that has left astronomers both baffled and deeply unsettled. The spacecraft, whose primary function has been reduced to little more than a whisper across the void, detected something anomalous, unprecedented, and terrifying. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The signal came unexpectedly. It was subtle, barely distinguishable from the background radiation that fills interstellar space. But buried in the ambient data was a disruption, a pattern that defied natural explanation. Voyager 1, using its low-power instruments still functional after all these years, had recorded an oscillation, an irregular fluctuation in the plasma waves surrounding it. This in itself might not have been cause for alarm, except that the fluctuations bore a complexity that suggested something else was present. The regularity and modulation of the signal hinted not at a natural celestial phenomenon, but at an artificial source, something constructed or orchestrated by intelligence. And this realization sent ripples through the scientific community. The signal's frequency modulation bore a structure that didn't align with any known cosmic background activity, such as pulsars, quasars, or interstellar magnetic turbulence. It also couldn't be attributed to simple interference from Earth or solar radiation, since Voyager 1 is far beyond the Sun's charged influence. Scientists at NASA and the Deep Space Network scrutinized the telemetry. The source of the anomaly wasn't internal. Voyager's instruments were operating correctly within their aging threshold. This left one possibility. The signal was external and possibly being directed at the spacecraft deliberately. What stood out was the precision. Interstellar space is not empty. It's a dynamic environment filled with sparse atoms, magnetic fields, and radiation. Yet within that chaos, this signal was clean, too clean. Its clarity suggested that it had either originated close to Voyager 1, or that its source was powerful and focused enough to maintain integrity across an almost inconceivable distance. The pattern contained a sequence, repeating elements that formed what looked eerily like mathematical symmetry. For human scientists, this set off alarm. Throughout history, patterns and sequences, particularly prime numbers, Fibonacci spirals, or geometric repetitions, have been regarded as hallmarks of intelligence. In this case, the signal mimicked a cascade of prime intervals with interspersed bursts that resembled binary pulses. If this were a natural anomaly, it was like nothing humanity had ever encountered. The structure was too refined. Voyager 1 had effectively been pinged by something or someone in the darkness beyond our solar system, and the nature of that ping felt neither random nor benign. Even the most conservative astrophysicists struggled to come up with a plausible natural cause. The signal's persistent repetition, its unwavering frequency, and its pinpoint modulation defied cosmic coincidence. For all intents and purposes, it was a message. But if it was a message, it raised the immediate and harrowing question: from whom? The terrifying part wasn't just the possibility of alien contact, it was the context. Voyager 1 is not headed toward any major stellar body. It drifts in a region of space that is vastly empty, sparsely populated by dust and gas. For a signal to reach it, there means that whoever or whatever sent the signal knew exactly where Voyager 1 was. The tracking of such a small, dim, and old spacecraft amid the abyss suggests a level of technological capability that dwarfs our own. It would be like locating a single grain of sand in the middle of the Pacific Ocean at night, and then throwing a rock that hits it dead on. This implies not only awareness, but monitoring. Could it be that something has been watching our probes as they inch outward from the solar system? And if so, for how long? Did the launch of Voyager 1 in 1977 trigger some kind of cosmic tripwire? Or has its golden record, a literal invitation to understand Earth's species, civilizations, and culture, finally been interpreted by something capable of replying? There is also the haunting possibility that this signal was not meant to be a reply, but a warning. Some researchers speculated whether the signal's structural symmetry represented a kind of cosmic "do not enter" sign. The mathematics of the message might not have been a greeting, but a boundary. In human terms, it could be the equivalent of bright neon signage at the edge of a military zone. Simple, geometric, unmistakable. Voyager 1, in its unceasing forward drift, may have brushed up against an invisible fence, one designed to notify or deter any species technologically advanced enough to send scouts into the stars. If the signal was a deterrent, then its implications are more disturbing than a mere hello from an alien civilization. It would mean that there is territory in space, ownership, defense, perhaps even a form of galactic geopolitics at play, one that humans have only just become dimly aware of. The idea that our solar system lies on the fringe of a larger jurisdiction is chilling. It upends the assumption that the universe is a vast, unclaimed wilderness. Instead, it raises the terrifying proposition that there are already rules and rulers out there. Some theorists, examining the energy density of the signal, noted that the waveforms seemed to contain compression layers, as though the message had been packed with additional information. Similar to how a radio signal can carry both sound and data, this interstellar ping may have carried encoded content within its modulation. Efforts to decode it are ongoing, but without a frame of reference, it's like trying to understand a language with no Rosetta Stone. Still, the prospect of a layered message within the signal haunts every listening ear. What might it contain? Coordinates? A warning? An ultimatum? The fear isn't only about who sent the message, but also about what comes next. Voyager 1 is still moving, slowly, but inevitably. If it did cross into some kind of claimed space, does its intrusion count as a breach? Could we expect a response? And what form would that response take? The mind reels at the possibilities. Would it be a second, more powerful signal? A sudden loss of contact with Voyager 1? Or something else entirely? Something more immediate, more local? Another angle that rattled the nerves of astrophysicists was the eerie synchronicity of the signal's detection. It arrived just as Earth's radio telescopes were undergoing routine recalibration, allowing a brief optimal window for ultra-sensitive listening. That meant either a strange coincidence of timing or, more ominously, that the sender knew when Earth would be listening most clearly. This would imply not just tracking of Voyager 1, but awareness of our observational patterns back on Earth. That level of oversight suggests a kind of surveillance net in operation, a network capable of both watching and calculating far beyond our current understanding. Compounding the tension was the realization that Voyager 1 was alone out there. Unlike Earth-orbiting satellites or Martian rovers, it cannot be serviced or redirected. It cannot be shut down or hidden. It will continue broadcasting, emitting its faint carrier signal into the universe until its power fails. And until that moment, it remains a beacon, a vulnerable thread stretching from human civilization into a region we now suspect may be watched, maybe even guarded. The psychological implications of the signal are profound. For decades, the idea of first contact has lived in the realm of theory, hope, and science fiction. But here is a situation where reality has seemingly knocked. The fear does not come from aliens with green skin or spaceships hovering in our skies. It comes from the sheer unknown, the realization that we may have wandered, blind and curious, into a galactic structure whose rules we do not understand. Scientists have always expected that our first evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence would be distant, perhaps from a distant planet's atmosphere, or a blurry telescope signature that hinted at technosignatures. Few imagined it might come from our own aging spacecraft, receiving an unprompted signal from the dark. It has forced a reassessment of the assumptions long held about space, that it is quiet, indifferent, and mostly empty. Perhaps it is not so empty. Perhaps silence does not mean absence, but watchfulness. The event has also challenged philosophical boundaries. If Voyager 1 has been noticed by something with the capacity to communicate, what else has been seen? Earth, with its constant emissions of television, radio, and radar waves, has been lighting up the local stellar neighborhood for a century. If this signal is a reaction, then it may not be the first. It may just be the first one we detected clearly. That opens an even more unsettling possibility, that signals have come before, and we either missed them or were not ready to understand. Voyager 1's discovery has touched on the fragility of human confidence. We have always operated with the implicit assumption that our outreach into the universe would be unilateral, that we would broadcast until someone answered, if ever. We assumed a passive universe, one that would either befriend us or ignore us. The idea that we might be trespassers, or that our signals might provoke a reaction beyond mere curiosity, was seldom taken seriously outside of fiction. Now, that fiction may be bleeding into fact. Though no physical object was seen, the detection of a directed, intelligent-seeming signal constitutes a presence. Presence without form is more disturbing than an alien ship looming in orbit. At least then we would know where to look. Now, we are left with only questions. Where did the signal come from? Why did it appear now? Is it alone, or the beginning of a cascade of contact events? The lonely silence of interstellar space is no longer simply quiet. It's charged, tense. Voyager 1 has become more than a probe. It has become a sentinel. Its presence in deep space is a thread connecting us to something vast and unknowable. The terrifying object it detected may not be an object in the traditional sense. It may be a presence, a signal, an idea made manifest through alien technology. But the implications are all too real. The universe may not be waiting for us. It may already be occupied. And in reaching out, through our probes, through our messages, through our desperate hope to not be alone, we may have finally been seen. What happens next is not just a question for scientists, it's a question for humanity. And it begins silently with a message in the dark. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Voyager 1's discovery? What do you expect happen next? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.